Yeah, I'm happy to help. This is
Are you
kind of
talking
stuff
about
that
the
we're
innovation
really...
center on 55th Street?
Yes.
Third.
Gates' operation?
53rd Street Parker Court.
Okay.
Like when you leave, go to the park, like I said, and then stop what you're doing.
On the 53rd Street.
And go to 53rd Street and walk in. Just go.
Where is it?
53rd and Parker.
It's upstairs.
Okay.
Upstairs.
Okay, let's keep moving, because I don't want to lose me. So some of the things we have to look at, what are the real economic assets here? This is, ultimately we got to have jobs in the community. One of the problems in our country is that we get these all chain stores and all this kind of stuff, and that just sucks money out of the community. You want to pump money into the community. And everybody's excited about Walmart and all these things because it makes shopping easier a little bit, but ultimately those jobs aren't that great, and it sucks a lot of money away. We want to optimize revenues within this community. So you have what are called TIF districts, tax increment financing districts, which allow you to do certain things, but that's contingent upon sales tax and other revenues being within the TIF district. I think this is actually in a TIF.
I think they're marked on those maps. I think.
Community development, obviously, win-win-win. We want to factor in all these things. And then establishing a vision. You got to look at everything. It's comprehensive, and it has to be community-driven. You have to. A lot of times, what happens with these plans are just what we talked about. People bulldoze over the residents, and they move right on through to whatever they want to see. They don't remember that there are residents living here. They talk about growth, or they talk about bringing in new kinds of people, or it's got a word. I avoid that word if I can. But it's true. I mean, it does happen. Okay. We got to think about what's happening in the world right now. Climate is shifting, and we don't have infrastructure that we can't. Our infrastructure is not flexible enough to change overnight. I mean, you can walk outside and you can see hundreds of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure just walking around your neighborhood. You can't exactly change that overnight. That's going to take a long time, and this is starting that conversation.
Ask everyone to cut your cell phones off. Thank you. Oh, I know that spot.
So now we kind of wanted one of your own to talk about this area. We asked Veronica and Natalie to take some pictures of the community just to talk about what do you see when you see some of these things.
So this is one of the corridors.
And if anybody owns any of these buildings, we'll keep it very positive.
I need to grab the microphone.
Okay, hi, I'm Natalie Perkins, and along with Veronica and some of our other members from the Pop-Up Divas that were here, Mary Steenson, Yvette, and Jeanette, we worked at a place called the Corey 75 Event Center, which is where we have our Saturday Farmers Market. And the Corey 75, if you guys have been there, that is a beautiful, it's a lovely spot inside. Jazz, did anybody go to the jazz? Anyway, sorry, jazz, okay. Every Friday, sorry, jazz every Friday. But it took a long time for that to happen. It is a bright spot on this street. This street is 75th and going down to Yates, I think?
Yes.
Yep, 75th, going down to Yates. But just look and see we're trying to have a beautiful event center, and this is what our street looks like.
I like to put all your pictures in so you have to go back.
Oh, Lordy. Okay, let's go. All right. So, and this is looking the other way down 75th Street, and as you can see, we have boarded up. We're trying to do business, and these streets are just boarded up. A lot of these, we don't even know who owns these buildings. We don't even know who's in there, and that's part of the problem with, what we're dealing with in South Shore. This
Go
is...
back to that real quick.
Okay.
So you've got things like satellite cameras on here, that gives a certain image. You've got things like cameras on here, but look at the facade's actually really in good shape. I mean, the buildings are in great shape, but they maybe have absentee owners. Then you've got signage that probably is not standard, that somebody allowed. So
What time of day was that? Now that we do the photo, what time of day was that?
I took that in the early afternoon, but as you can see, it's kind of a gray day. So that's just the way it goes.
Here in Chicago, gray days. We had a nice day. This is the entrance to the South Shore Cultural Center. Very beautiful. If you guys have ever played golf there, gone to the beach, or gone back into the Nature Conservancy, which a lot of people don't know about. This is beautiful. It's a prize, but this is our corridor, our four-way corridor. And even though that's lovely, what you see next isn't so lovely.
I think I was doing community assets first.
Okay, but this is across the street, as you know, as you're rounding the corner, going down 70, you're going down South Shore Drive. I mean, not so much. The scraggly trees, the unkempt sidewalks and things like that. That, to me, that's not going to draw anybody in here. Sorry. That's my opinion. How many people have had to go to work here? Gotten on the metro stop every morning, had to go to work there.
I love the signs.
Yeah.
I mean, the signs are beautiful, but again, this is not a beautiful corridor. I've been on many metro stops. This is not beautiful. We're going around. And if you guys will notice, so that's four corners that we took of this. This is the metro going back west from 71st and South Shore. And so that's the corner where the fishbowl is, and that was where Sandy Jackson was in. Beautiful building, because of what they wanted in rent or whatever, empty, sat empty. All of our assets are sitting empty right now. We don't know who owns them. We don't know, how to get them out. Gorgeous, gorgeous building. Gorgeous, gorgeous building, boarded up. And this one is on 75th, all the way down towards Merrill, I think. But it's right on the corner, hasn't had anything in there since all the gangs and things were cleared out. But this is our famous bakery, Give Me Some Sugar. She's trying really hard, she's hanging in there. She will do decorations, she's done story time, she does a lot of things to do community involvement. And that, don't you want to see that as opposed to that? Okay.
I think that's your last.
Alrighty.
Remember, we want to see the change we want to be. See the change we want to be.
We want to be that.
I think Ann has had her hand out, even though I want to say to this very inquisitive audience, if we keep asking questions, we will never get to the mapping exercise. So I'm going to need some
Yeah,
time.
but this is real good. We're hearing,
Is there some
Yeah.
burden that you need to say?
Well, right, about the cultural center, when you saw the picture, if you look closely, you saw that there was plaster falling. And Governor Ronner's budget has zeroed out the funds to maintain, not even renovate, but to maintain the cultural center. And I just want everybody to know that.
And see, that's
That
what
has
we
already
need
been chopped.
And that's
It's
what
already
we
gone.
need to go, write letters, raise hell. We're going to do a Springfield lobby, Faith in Place on Earth Day. That's why we need to be on the bus. Okay.
okay, thank you so much, Natalie, for doing that. We're going to go through a lot of slides to show how streets can be, because, and we'll have one slide on that, you'll realize shortly how much of your area is streets. So these are bus stops that have improvements in bus lanes. Thinking along those lines, we want you to start thinking about your streets as avenues for green infrastructure. So go ahead. This is a bad-looking area. Do the next one. It can be improved with simple things like people mentioned, the flags. We want you to think of boulevards, think of areas that are entrances to areas that you know have anchor, economic development, and how you start to make it, and it has to be connected. We want you to look at those maps and start connecting where you go to, where things are, and how it can be made better. These are boulevards that everybody wants. These are multiple avenues, multiple ways to get there, with green infrastructure built into them. We'll talk a little bit about the different kinds of things. But you look at your big, wide streets, and one of the things I want you to start thinking about is how you repurpose those as part of the ecosystem that they are, as part of what you live in. Go ahead. Again, much narrower street, much bigger for people.
Is there any outdoor dining here on the?
No. There's almost
And-
no restaurants.
And so we're gonna start talking about what brings people and anchors things, places to eat, places to walk to in your neighborhood. Next. Again, big wide areas. Now look at this. These areas where people are walking were taken back from the street by putting the large, what do you call it, boulevards or whatever out there. These are interim measures that you can take, and one of the resources as I have for you, and everybody better make sure they've signed in, I have emails with links for these, is the National Association of City Transportation Officials, and they have measures that are interim measures, how you can start taking back streets. For instance, if Give Me Some Sugar is on that street and you want to attract more, what if you start taking it back? What if you let them have a little eating place outside and you make an avenue off of some of the streets that are too wide and underutilized? Go ahead. This one is off the street with boatyards and a wooden plank. These are interim measures where you can start bringing in green infrastructure and places for people to be. And the two of them, we know we need green, we know we live on this planet. The two of them are interchangeable. If there's no amenities there, nothing wants to be there. Go ahead. Okay, we're looking real quickly at taking a vision. Now, I'll have to say, Eric and I were exchanging email or PowerPoints, and last night Eric changed my PowerPoint, so I'm just kind of bumbling along.
I didn't deliver.
But we work together, we get along easily that way. This is a map, the blue one is a map of the endangered and threatened species by county. Cook County has the highest number of endangered and threatened species. The rest of Illinois, somebody said, is perfectly safe for corn and soybeans. They couldn't get into this area, it was too wet, too swampy. Further up, it was too hilly, too gravelly. They couldn't get in and plow it all away. So we actually have, and this is a recent map, these are the ones with the highest number of species, the highest natural areas. So there's a reason why you should care about this area. The foundation is here. The birds know it. The birds come through. The forest preserves that are here are remnant pieces because Cook County Forest Preserve was the first forest preserve in the nation. Do you know that? 1914, first forest preserve in the nation. So, pardon me? Who said that? Okay. Yeah, oh, it is the largest, yeah. Yeah, and in fact, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources findings bypassed Cook County Forest Preserve on the largest preserve. Palos was the biggest area. So these are all areas of important sources that exist in the area. And this area could capitalize on that as being, in that line. Keep going.
Well, I just want to say, the first picture here with all the dots.
Yeah.
So you've got all those important resources. Those are all brownfields, large brownfield sites. So you've got both of those in the same place, and they both need to be addressed.
Kind of the legacy of the area. Keep going.
And you might want to let them know brownfields need to be cleaned up.
Yeah, they're contaminated sites.
Right. And there's multiple ways to clean up brownfields. Sometimes they just cap them off, and then they make it an amenity. So, okay, we do this kind of green infrastructure mapping, and we have done it for the South Cook County communities, Blue Island and below. And so part of what we're doing and part of what, the forces that need to be reckoned with, Val and Veronica said, you're going to come and do it in this area. And part of what we do, we brought in 37 communities in the Millennium Reserve area. Keep going. And, okay, you've got me jumping all over, but one resource I really, really want you, and we have the links for all this, is to look at CDOT's, Chicago Department of Transportation, Sustainable Urban Infrastructure. Has anybody seen that? Okay, you have to look at that. You have to, now it's policy laden and a little complicated, and I'll show you another resource that's simpler, but CDOT has put policies together that says because they control 23% of the land in the city and 70% of the public open space, and I bet you anything in this area is higher.
Yes.
I bet you it is. In certain books it says it can be as much as 80 or more. Your open space is controlled by your roads and your right-of-ways. And so this should be an emphasis on how